Tech in 20, Season 1, Episode 11. Tips and tricks for troubleshooting math when your TVI is not there.
CATT, Center for Assistive Technology Training Northwest.
Welcome to Tech in 20, everybody. This week we have our very own Leslie Edmonds from our Northwest Center for Assistive Technology Training, or CATT program. Meow. So Leslie is going to share tips for teaching students how to troubleshoot for themselves and work with classroom teachers directly. So off to you, Leslie.
So thank you so much. Glad to have Steve from Desmos, and thanks for all you do for our students and me. So today we're going to talk about troubleshooting and why must we teach troubleshooting for our students. So we're going to talk about from elementary to high school and how we can get our students to be independent when the TVI is not in the room. And I'm going to start with something that it's uncomfortable to talk about, but it's true that TVIs are not always in the math class, but our students are. That's the reality of where we're at with caseloads, itinerant models. So when Desmos freezes or when JAWS stops talking, Chromebox won't turn on, or there's math that is pasted as an inaccessible image, the student either knows what to do or they don't. So troubleshooting in math is not only a high school skill, but it's a K through 12 independent skill. So there's a shift we must make as TVIs, and sometimes TVIs unintentionally rescue our students too quickly. We fix our students' tech problems, or we retype problems, or we troubleshoot for our students. Guilty. The truth is, independence is built through guided struggle, and that means looking at how we can guide our students to independently troubleshoot when their TVI is not around. So instead of fixing problems, we can ask questions such as, what is your reader saying? What keystroke could you get out of that field? What have you tried already? So that 30-second pause where we look to our student to troubleshoot independently really builds a lifetime skill. And the elementary level is actually where it begins. So in elementary school, in math, troubleshooting, it looks simple. It's turning the screen reader on and off, plugging headphones in, raise the volume, refresh the web page, knowing the difference between a mouse and a keyboard. And also Ting chimed in on this today, learning the correct vocabulary to aid troubleshooting. What is USB-C? The charging port, Bluetooth versus Wi-Fi, making sure that our younger students know these definitions. So we're teaching the students that they can fix small problems without panicking. If TVIs rush in and fix everything, we are teaching that when something breaks, wait for the TVI. And that dependency pattern can start early and it can stick. So then our kids are moving on to middle school, and this is where avoidance in middle math becomes more digital. Students start using math more independently. They're using Desmos, Google Classroom, online worksheets, embedded graphs. Now, troubleshooting includes, for instance, using tab instead of a mouse, pressing enter to edit expressions, recognizing when math is an image, restarting JAWS or Chromevox, and navigating tables and sliders. So we're upping our game a little bit. This is also, though, when students start feeling embarrassed. Middle school. If they don't know how to fix something quickly, they can shut down or pretend they're done. Ultimately, they may disengage, and we need to give them the confidence to fix issues on their own. So now we're getting into high school, and this is where troubleshooting becomes a skill. In high school, math is fast and it's content heavy. If a student loses instructional minutes troubleshooting and doesn't know how to recover, they lose instruction. So if this happens repeatedly, the consequences grow and they may drop advanced math, they may avoid STEM tracks, they may even internalize that they are, quote, bad at math. But the barrier that they experienced, it was technical, it wasn't cognitive. It's not about their math skills, but about access. So TVIs can help guide students to know enough about access to advocate for specific alt media, such as tactile graphic when description is not enough, or requesting a 3D model when a tactile graphic isn't appropriate. With that, even if students are entitled to having that provided, they should also know how to create their own means of access. So by high school, troubleshooting should be automatic. They need to know how to restart their screen reader, re-enter an expression, identify images versus text, use keyboard commands, and advocate clearly for access. And just looking through this with a transition lens, one day there's not going to be a TVI. There's going to be no paraprofessional, there's no IEP meeting, and no one's going to restart your JAWS. So if we want our students to access higher level math, we must teach them to access their tools independently, starting in elementary school. And also note that troubleshooting falls directly under the ECC. The categories are assistive technology, compensatory access skills, self-determination, independent living, career education. So this is not extra tech time, and it should be written into the IEP goals. So I might have said that, like pretty good, huh? Because I had a script. And I wrote this all down because I really wanted to emphasize certain points. And I did put this down as a script, and I'm happy to share this, and we'll have this on our website because I'm very passionate about this subject. And sometimes we need to advocate for troubleshooting, for time to troubleshoot for our students. And now I just wanted to see if Ting or Eli wanted to chime in on some points with their experience with this.
Yeah, that was great, Leslie. I feel like this is such an important topic, and this is why we wanted to take a moment to pause in our Tech in 20 series and talk about some of this philosophy in teaching and supporting math and AT. Because so far in our series, we've been doing a lot of math focus and AT focus. But even if you've got this lesson set up on introducing a student to Desmos, let's say, and we've got those lesson plans that Leslie has created in previous sessions, it's never actually just about supporting math with AT. It's never just teaching the tech, because with one lesson, you could actually hit up multiple goals, which I love. You've got your goals for self-determination when you're also embedding these troubleshooting skills and strategies. Of course, you're working on the math concepts as well, but you're also working on the assistive technology goal. You might be working on the compensatory skills goal with, honing the auditory skills, learning how to use sonification. You might be working on any fine motor goals that you might have and, being able to coordinate keystrokes and key commands. So there's actually a ton of IEP goals you can hit in just one lesson, which is very exciting. I know, Leslie, the other thing I think of as you're going through the importance of troubleshooting at the elementary, middle, and high school levels is really by high school, if our students are prepared to have those troubleshooting skills, they really don't need us in the room with them. And it really should be very minimal. I would say when my students are in high school, by that time, I might just pop into the classroom once a month, perhaps, just to check in. And this could actually be reflected in your service delivery too. So if you think about it, you might need to have a higher level of direct services in elementary, maybe fading a little bit of middle school. But once that student's really got their independence, those direct services should be pretty minimal by the end because as Deborah said in the chat, by the time the students go to college, there is no TVI in the room. None. Yeah. I mean, really, by the end of a student's high school journey, the TVI services should be pretty hands-off and really more of like a kind of a coaching, life coaching model rather than still teaching those skills because the student should already have those skills by high school. So just a little food for thought for anybody out there who's involved with the IEP process. Oh, thank you so much, Deborah. Deborah just put a link into the chat for an article she wrote on fix your computer problems when you are not a wizard. This is great, Deborah. Is this something that we could add to our Tech in 20 resources for today?
Well, I guess so. It's in the Braille Forum. It's on the ACP's website.
Okay, fantastic. I would love to repost it for our people, if that's okay. And for anybody who might have missed the first few minutes, I'm just reposting into the chat the links to our training schedule, which will have the links to everything for today. And if you have any colleagues who'd like to join, share the registration link. Um, as Leslie was speaking, I was doing sort of a slow roll through our resources. And so Leslie is an incredible content creator for us, and she makes so much good content. It is actually very difficult to keep up. So I thought at this point, I could just do a super quick tour of where the things are on our website so that you can find them. We have some new resources. They're pretty exciting. And I also want to leave just a few minutes for Eli to chime in on his own math and AT experience as well. And, Eli is sort of a very masterful troubleshooter. And I suspect that you've had those skills for quite some time, Eli. But on our CATT-AT resources website, there's our Tech in 20 page. At the bottom of the Tech in 20 page, you will find links to all the resources that have been developed by CAT, in addition to the little Desmo screen reader helper chatbot developed by Michael Cantino.
Mm-hmm.
And Leslie, just hot off the press, this is the first time we're showcasing this new resource. If you go to the non-visual tech page, and you go to any of the Braille displays. So the Braille displays include the Chameleon, the Mantis, and the Monarch. So if you click on any of the Braille display pages, we also now have a new section called Lesson Plans. I might actually revise this heading to be called Teaching Resources because there's going to be more than just lesson plans. But for right now, it's just lesson plans. And these are sort of things that you can print out and follow along. It's a lesson plan on, how to introduce a student to a Braille display, file management concepts, how to transfer files between a Braille display and Windows computer. So I know not everybody is at the most highest comfort level when working with a specialized assistive technology that goes along with accessing programs such as Desmos and math worksheets. So if you need a little bit more support there, Leslie's got you covered with these beautiful lesson plans as well. So I'll stop the share now and kind of yield some time to Eli if you'd like to chime in about the importance of troubleshooting for yourself. He might be troubleshooting right now.
All right. Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Cool. Yeah, so troubleshooting. Oh boy. I mean, it is it's probably one of the hardest skills to teach. And one of the most important. Because so for those that don't know, I am fully blind myself and I have been since I was 4 years old. Um, and when I was going through the K through 12 system, we didn't have a tech specialist I could refer um, to kind of figure out why my Braille no Empower wasn't doing certain things. Uh, you know, but when when it came time to go through higher ed, like when I entered college and then later on in the workforce, a lot of those skills that I learned to troubleshoot myself, I was able to pass on to those around me for, whether I was in college and working with the students, or, also I was able to manage my own needs with it. Um, and there are certain ways, because I am a tech trainer, that I've developed to kind of teach people how to troubleshoot, but you can't necessarily um, plan each and every troubleshooting lesson. Um, so, a lot of those kind of happen organically, and a lot of people come to us and be like, well, we tried this, but everything, didn't work. And I felt like it turned into a troubleshooting lesson, which we didn't do. And sometimes you have to do them. It can't be like the whole lesson, right? If you have something to do, but it's it's sometimes it's really important to walk through the steps and walk with through it with your student. Um, that way, when you're not around anymore and the student enters higher ed or employment, they know how to handle it themselves. And it's a lot easier to learn how to do it when you have someone who already knows than learning how to do it on your own.
Thank you, Eli.
Yeah.
And I just put in the chat the resources that are available in our Tech in 20, um, just to have their handouts that are just something that could be given to classroom teacher, to parents and caregivers, a paraprofessional in the classroom. And, there's links to things. If you guys were there last week with Michael Cantino's amazing troubleshooting tips and tricks, links to his documents, to bots, but just something that if they might not have that understanding of what the student is doing in the classroom, that they have that overall troubleshooting document, and to have the student have on hand in case they freeze, in case they need a little assistance, a little hurt to get over the hurdle. So I love having parents involved as well. So if the student's at home and having some difficulties, wouldn't it be great if parents and caregivers could get involved as well and say, hey, I remember that from the tip sheet. Yeah, let's work that out. I know what that's going to be. So we're just trying to share resources. We're trying to emphasize that troubleshooting is so important. And Eli's proof of it. He's our troubleshooting guru, and he's self-taught. He knew at a young age. I've known Eli for a really long time, and he knows that that's the ticket to independence and confidence. So we're just all coming together to provide everyone with resources, and most importantly, providing our students with confidence and being able to work independently on troubleshooting. So these are yours to share away, and we have a lot more resources on our website as well.
Great.
Ding, ding.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Also known as the resource queen. All right, everybody. That is it for our Tech in 20, where we meow at your tech needs. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you next time. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now, and then we can just have some open Q&A. Okay.
CATT, Center for Assistive Technology Training Northwest.
The contents of this video were developed through a partnership with the American Printing House of the Blind, APH. CATT Northwest is based at the Washington State School for the Blind, WSSB. Logos, WSSB and APH. The contents of this video were developed under a contract authorized by the Department of Education. However, these contents do not necessarily represent the policy of the Department of Education, and you should not assume endorsement by the federal government.